Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Downing, and I have the privilege of being this year's Western Mass Library Advocates President, in addition to my day job as the director of the Forbes Library in Northampton. In the interest of time, I won't call out our WMLA board members by name, but I invite you to visit our website to learn more about us and the work that we do, and to consider joining if you're not already a member. We'll put our web address in the chat. We organize events like this and also support summer reading through a statewide prize initiative. And when we can, we get library staff together to network and share knowledge. As I mentioned, I'm very sorry that we can't be doing this breakfast in person, but having you here means so much and shows what a robust community we have built around libraries in Western Massachusetts. We had over 100 people register for today's event, and that's a testament to all of our commitment. And we thank you so much for being here. I want to especially thank our elected officials for coming out this morning. Every time I talk to anyone about the Western Mass delegation, we are always giddy at how lucky we are to have such amazing and supportive representation. But they do need to continue to hear from us and hear what our needs are. So today, we are here to advocate for the library's legislative agenda, Massachusetts libraries getting it done. I want to circle back quickly to the phrase, thank you for being here. Libraries have heard this over and over from community members in the past couple of years. We have been a lifeline to people who have relied on us in a multitude of ways to keep them and their families engaged through the darkest pandemic hours. We have reimagined library services and done our best to deliver traditional services to best meet the needs of our communities while prioritizing safety. I'm so proud of the work that libraries have accomplished during these challenging times to get it done. And I want to recognize all of the library workers, trustees, friends, members, and volunteers who are here with us today for being so creative and dedicated. We have a great lineup of speakers this morning, and then we will have the opportunity to hear from our elected officials, and we will close it out with Q&A. You can go ahead and put your comments if you have technical assistance needs or anything else in the chat, and we have people that will be monitoring that throughout the program. It is now my great honor to introduce our first speaker this morning, Gina Louise Shera, who is the newly elected mayor of the city of Northampton. Welcome, Mayor Shera.
Good morning. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here. Welcome all of you to virtual Northampton for this Western Massachusetts Legislative Breakfast. I so wish that we could be together in Forbes Library, which is one of my very favorite buildings in Northampton. It's an absolute jewel of our city. I want to thank you all in the library world for the work that you do to provide access not just to information, but to community. And I want to give a very special thank you to Northampton's Forbes and Lilly Libraries and their staff and trustees for the vital role that they play in our community. They touch and enrich the lives of our youngest to our oldest residents. And I am especially thankful for the work that they've done during the pandemic to keep people connected, including increased home delivery, book boxes in neighborhoods and at key locations like Northampton Survival Center, Lily's new Mdlc grant-assisted pollinator garden, and outdoor early literacy programs for children at the libraries. I am also very proud of a key equity and access move that Forbes Library has taken to eliminate late fees for all users. I'm very grateful, and I welcome all the state legislators here today and I thank you so much for the work that you do, and especially to Northampton Senator Comerford and Representative Savadosa. Thank you. They and anyone who's heard me speak on budgetary issues will know that I have no problem naming for Northampton that we need more state aid. And in this context, I get to say it for all of the Commonwealth's communities, because an increase to state aid to public libraries is critical at this time, when libraries are just stretching in so many ways to serve amidst inflation and the challenges to municipal budgets that I know I and my colleagues at the local level are feeling. So when you review the Mdlc legislative agenda, it's clear how many ways libraries intersect with people's lives in the Commonwealth and the myriad roles that they play in their lives. So whether it's inclusion and access, mental health awareness and guidance, assisting those experiencing houselessness, expanding materials and learning, I know that these are all issues and ideals and goals that we all care about deeply. So I thank all of you for working together to achieve them. And I, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me.
Thank you, Mayor Shara. We're so happy to have you as our mayor, and so pleased to have you here today. It is now my pleasure to introduce Stephanie Marr, who is the director of the Palmer Public Library. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much for having me today. Hello, my name is Stephanie Marr, and I'm the director of the Palmer Public Library, and I was honored to be asked to speak this morning about the impact that state aid has had on libraries like mine. One of our biggest and most successful projects in the past few years has been purchasing over 120 new computers for the public and staff. The cost of this 3-year technology project exceeded what we could achieve with our municipal operating budget alone. State aid allowed us to cover the cost of the hardware, the software, and technical support to install and maintain our new devices. State aid has allowed us the ability to offer tuition reimbursement for our staff pursuing a graduate degree in library and information sciences, post-grad work, and specialized training opportunities. So far, we have had 3 staff members, including me, reach their career development goals by obtaining master's degrees. The ability to foster an environment where professional development and education are valued has allowed us to attract and retain some really amazing staff who are dedicated to their work and this community. And beyond even those 2 points, state aid allows directors to sleep at night. Even before the pandemic, I have seen a flood in our supply closet, fleas in my carpets, shingles falling off the roof, and an HVAC system for a 30,000 square foot building that works perfectly about 3 days out of the year. State aid is a safety net that allows us to concentrate on the parts of our jobs that matter most. Providing materials, resources, and great programming with kindness and care to everyone who walks through our door is always our main goal. State aid for the Palmer Public Library means that we never have to choose between our standards and our facility. Without state aid, the facilities management issues, the unforeseen surprises that occur with other types of funding threaten our ability to do what we do best, which is help people live better, safer, more informed, and entertained lives. It is our unique honor to be there for our patrons in these ways, and state aid is a driving force behind the variety and diversity in our efforts. Thank you all for steadfastly working to ensure the continued success of libraries in Massachusetts, and thanks for having me speak.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I relate so much of what you just said. Our next esteemed speaker is Jan Resnick, Commissioner with the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners and proud Western Mass resident. I would also like to recognize the other commissioners and commission staff here with us today. Your work is so valuable and appreciated. Jan, the floor is yours.
As she remembers to unmute. Good morning, everyone, to a stellar group of library supporters and legislators. I truly wish we could see each other in person. Thank you for showing up to support our libraries and our statewide library community. Greetings to our legislative delegation and to the other presenters who have and will give more detail on the Mass Board of Library Commissioners legislative agenda, a document that strengthens services to libraries and their users throughout the Commonwealth. This is my last WMLA breakfast in an official capacity. My term as commissioner expires this month. It's been a wonderful time working and sharing with all of you. Now it's time to get it done. I'm pleased to introduce you to 2 new commissioners, Commissioner Vicki Biancolo, formerly of the Miss Hall School in Pittsfield and currently of the Worcester Academy, and our newest commissioner, Karen Traub of Shutesbury. We are also joined by Commissioners Deborah Abraham and Debbie Conrad. Former Commissioner Mary Cronholm of Blandford cannot join us this morning, but sends greetings. Attending and available for questions are MDLC staff members, James Lonergan, Director, Mary Rose Quinn, Head of State Programs and Government Liaison, Rob Fabini, Head of Library Advisory and Development, and Andrea Bonabunker, the Library Building Specialist. Each year, the MDLC surveys libraries for their budget priorities. The commissioners then prepare a funding outline to present to the governor and the legislature. We emphasize 2 or 3 points or budget lines, not because some of the lines are not important, but because the legislature asks for priorities. Where is money most needed? We have 3 priorities for FY 2023. State aid to regional libraries, $7,941. for which we are requesting an increase of $1 million. And state aid to public libraries, $7,950,000, for which we are requesting an increase of $3 million, which will be distributed statewide to libraries like Stephanie's. We are asking to increase our bond cap for library construction from $20 million a year to $25 million a year. I have posted the link to the 2023 library legislative agenda in the chat. In line 9501, Stephanie has talked with you about state aid in Palmer. State aid to public libraries is an annual voluntary program administered by the Mdlc that distributes local aid to municipalities for the use of their libraries. Approximately 98% of the Commonwealth's libraries currently participate in the program. State aid to libraries encourages municipal support and improvement of public library services, bolsters reciprocal resource sharing among libraries, compensates for differences in municipal funding capacities, and offsets costs to libraries that circulate materials to patrons from other certified municipalities. State aid to public libraries funds may be used in any way that supports the library, and that funding has been essential in helping libraries during the COVID-19 crisis. Additionally, libraries that are state aid certified have access to reciprocal borrowing of over 59 million library items, Mdlc library construction grants, Federal Library Services and Technology Act grants, and the Mdlc Small Libraries and Networks program, which supports network memberships for libraries serving communities with populations under 10,000. Additional state aid, also known as local aid, is essential to keeping and supporting libraries as core community services. Line 9401 supports the Massachusetts library system and the Library for the Commonwealth. Sarah will tell you about MLS. The other part of 9401's funding goes to the Library for the Commonwealth, which provides access for all Massachusetts residents to collections of ebooks, databases, downloadable audiobooks, and digital magazines, to reference and research assistance, education and skill building tools, and to cultural heritage materials held by Massachusetts libraries, museums, historical societies, and archives through the Digital Commonwealth. Funding for line 9401 is critically important, particularly for strengthening our resources and statewide delivery program and making them sustainable for the future. On the capital side, our third priority is to increase our annual construction bond cap to $25 million in order to complete our waitlist construction projects in a more timely manner. This will help communities avoid higher construction costs, which increase every year they wait to start their projects. If the annual cap is raised to $25 million, we will be able to reduce our construction waitlist by half. The $25 million we're requesting will help libraries and still be within our staffing capacity to respond and support those projects. Our library lobby is very effective, but we know that if our legislators don't hear from us, they assume things are fine. We know that your staff are stressed and need help meeting needs in the variety of ways the pandemic is requiring it. The pandemic has reminded us of the critical importance of libraries as community and information spaces. Please share your stories with our legislators. Give them the examples they need on how funding for the Mdlc and its affiliates impacts your library users and communities. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. You always come in with all of the facts and figures that we need, and you do it with such grace. I know that this is your last official year, but I don't think we're going to let you go. You're stuck with us. Thank you so much for your service. The Central and Western Massachusetts Library Resource Sharing Network, or CWMARS, is a critical component of our infrastructure. They provide the network that allows patrons and library materials to move freely between libraries, among other very important services. It is my honor to introduce CWMARS Executive Director, Jeanette Lundgren.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me here today to speak on behalf of CWMARS and our 155 member libraries. I do want to talk for a moment about line 9506, which provides funding to the automated networks. Line 9506 supports our consortia's primary mission of resource sharing. In CWMARS, we share content. Last fiscal year, we had over 5.5 million checkouts of physical materials during an ongoing pandemic. In 2021, we reached a record-breaking over 2 million checkouts on electronic content from our shared Overdrive collection of ebooks and audiobooks. Collectively, we hold over 2.3 million physical copies and over 165,000 electronic copies, all available for sharing. We connect small libraries. Over the past 6 years, 14 small libraries have joined CWMARS. This year, we are very excited to welcome 5 new members from the communities of Brimfield, Conway, Hardwick, New Braintree, and Terringham. 2 of our new member libraries were not automated. They had printed card catalogs and no electronic means for their patrons to access their collection. Joining CWMARS will bring a whole new digital library experience to those communities, which is so important, especially during the pandemic. All of our new member libraries will be able to take advantage of the power of consortial resource sharing. We promote digital equity. In November, we rolled out an electronic library card, the CWMARS e-card, to allow patrons without a library card fast access to our electronic shared collection and their local library's electronic content. The CWMARS e-card makes library content more accessible to connect patrons to their libraries who have difficulty getting to the library or who primarily want to borrow electronic content. Over the past 3 months, we have issued over 1,000 e-cards, and we've connected 1,000 new patrons with their libraries. We also work towards social justice. In 2021, 33 CWMARS libraries eliminated overdue fines on their items. The public libraries in our consortia are working very hard to remove the economic barrier that fines represent. Currently, we have 106 public libraries, or 71%, that do not charge overdrive fines. And about 83% of our public libraries have some sort of fine-free policies. Line 9506 helps offset membership costs for our member libraries. It supports our organization so that we can carry out our mission of resource sharing. We can also continue to connect libraries and work towards our strategic initiatives to improve access, digital equity, and social justice. Thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you, Jeanette, very much. We couldn't do it without you. The Massachusetts library system has long been setting an example for meaningful inclusion, representing the range of library types, public, academic, school, and special libraries, as well as a cooperative model that results in economy of scale, equity of services across communities, and learning opportunities to keep library staff up to date in a rapidly changing environment. Joining us today is Massachusetts Library System Executive Director, Sarah Segekian.
Thanks, Lisa. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, WMLA, for inviting me to your breakfast. I'm so happy to see you all this morning. As Lisa said, my name is Sarah Segekian. I'm the Executive Director of the Mass Library System, or MLS, as you will hear me refer to it. And I want to start by thanking our library staff at each and every one of our libraries across Massachusetts. I know that the most important resource in our libraries is their staff, and I'm proud and honored to support your critical work. MLS provides services to our multi-type libraries, often at no direct cost to the library or library users, to promote equitable access to excellent services and resources for all who live, work, or study in our state. The Mass Library System's priority is about equity, and we're a state-supported nonprofit funded by line 709401. We prioritize equity of access in two major ways: statewide delivery and electronic content. Our delivery program allows patrons to access books, audiobooks, videos, and more from around the state and world from their local library. Despite libraries being in various stages of physical reopenings, along with staffing and infrastructure changes across our partners, over 11 million items were delivered in fiscal 21 alone. We also provide 24/7 access to digital resources. We partner with the Board of Library Commissioners and to offer a suite of databases and e-content. Our Commonwealth ebook collection offers 50% more titles than in 2020 to help support the over 500 school and small public libraries that participate in this program. These titles have been circulated over 800,000 times in fiscal 21, which was a record-breaking circulation year for us. We know how critical electronic content access has been, especially during times of remote schooling and beyond. We also help libraries become future ready by offering hundreds of training sessions and hours of consulting services, as well as lead special initiatives and programs to help libraries tackle big challenges. Examples of these would include the summer slide that affects students during the summer months between school, a series of programs developed with and for our small library members, and topics on workforce development. We are also working with experts in the field of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility to help our members understand the tenets of DEI and how to incorporate them in their work. So thank you again to all who have advocated for MLS services and to the Massachusetts legislators who have recognized the critical services MLS and our partners provide by voting for increased funding for all of the library budget lines. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sarah, for your leadership. Our next and final speaker of the morning is Claudia Palfram, teacher librarian at the DuPont Middle School in Chicopee, and joining us to represent the Massachusetts School Library Association. These times have proven particularly challenging for students of all ages, and the work of school library staff is critically important. Please welcome Claudia.
Hi, my name is Claudia Palfram, and like she said, I am a teacher librarian. I am a certified school library teacher in the DuPont Middle School in Chicopee. The term librarian has become deprofessionalized, so we're trying to kind of change that. It's come to mean, in the school setting at least, anybody who sits in a library, whether they have the training or not, and that is a big issue in school libraries. We're in a unique position of working with all staff members, all students, and also many parents, especially at the elementary level. So we're always grateful for the services that we are able to access for free. We support early literacy by collaborating the teachers and other staff to encourage and build skills, and we also nurture budding readers. We are a resource to parents and students as they advance through the grades. And like I said, we also are a resource to teachers. We have many teachers who are completing degrees, getting additional degrees. I have many that come to the library and ask me to use, how do I use a database? How do I cite something? You know, it ranges, find me a good book for my class. It ranges, you know, across the gamut as to what we do and how we support our staff and students. But this is also where equity matters. And this is why the funding is so important. Currently in Massachusetts, many schools do not have access to the databases because they do not have a certified school library teacher, which they should have, especially in the lower income districts, which is where I work. Unfortunately, I am at this school, but at our other middle school, we do not have a librarian. So those students do not get to access the databases. The databases have been absolutely vital, especially during COVID when I was teaching remote, and now it is our source of up-to-date, adequate information for our students and staff. It's allowed me to cut way back on the amount of reference resources I need to buy, especially the stuff that's outdated as soon as you buy it. It's nice to be able to access the databases. The other day, I was working with them with a class, and this is what happens. This is probably what happens in schools without librarians. We were using a database. to research the United States Supreme Court. And one of our students decided, oh, Google's better and quicker. According to him, Judge Judy is on the Supreme Court. So this is why we need to rely on funding. We need adequate funding so that we can have these adequate resources so that our students have access to adequate and proper up-to-date information. And I would like to say, I don't know if anybody else from Chicopee is here. We have a very strong working relationship with our public library, which I am really grateful for. We are not part of SORA at the moment. Part of it is because we are a lower income district and we're concerned about how many of our students can actually access. Internet is a problem in our area, but without the funding from the Mdlc and without the support of the MLS, school libraries would kind of be definitely struggling. So we are always grateful and support your efforts. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I can see a couple students there behind you. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for the important work that you and other teacher librarians do. I would like to thank all of our presenters this morning for painting the library landscape and the critical importance of fully funding our library legislative agenda. We are so grateful for our generous legislators who have been listening so attentively to our needs and agendas. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to our legislators to tell us about their needs and priorities. We will begin with our state senators, starting with the chair of the Library Caucus and longstanding champion for libraries, Senator Eric Lesser.
Well, hi, Lisa, and hi, everyone. And yeah, I want to thank and give a shout out to my colleagues. I don't want to start naming people because I'm going to miss some of the Zoom screens. I know you'll hear from our Senate and House delegations in a moment. But first, just want to thank each of you for the work you've done, especially over the last 2 years. We know how hard obviously COVID has been on our communities and in particular on our libraries, which by their very nature are community gathering places, right? So we know you've all had to adapt, and I've been a participant in several digital programs through the Springfield libraries, the Longmeadow libraries, the Belchertown libraries, and on through, and we know how hard you've all worked, and hopefully things will now start to be stabilizing for a little bit. I just want to quickly talk about and give a plug to the Libraries Caucus, which is, I think, one of the best caucuses because we get to focus on something that's so important, which is public libraries. And our caucus is really a pretty simple concept. We're one of the biggest caucuses in the legislature, and all the legislators who care about libraries, we coordinate our asks, especially around budget time, and we put requests in all together for library support and for library services. And Massachusetts is actually one of the few states that has a dedicated program both for construction of public libraries and also for support for things like interlibrary loans. I know that program has helped, for example, get the East Forest Park library branch up and going. I know Angela Pupolo's on, who's been a big champion of that project with me over the years. And I know we've got several other projects in the pipeline. And I'll just close by saying, there's always a debate, especially now, about the need for libraries in the era of the internet, right? This is a debate that we all hear all the time. And I think, quite frankly, what the last 2 years has shown is that the need for public libraries has never been more urgent than now. Libraries and the idea of publicly accessible access to information is a social justice issue. I think about my own family, my mom, who grew up in an Italian immigrant home in Little Italy in Manhattan. She had a New York Public Library branch around the corner from her, and that opened the doors to a whole world for her. She was a little girl who never traveled, never really left the neighborhood she grew up in, but she read books about other cultures, about other places, ultimately ended up getting a PhD and working as a professional. That's the kind of thing that libraries do for people and for communities. And especially now, when we're challenged with questions of social justice, of economic mobility, of access to broadband, libraries are at the center of all of that. And I'll just close by saying, there's a lot of talk about hybrid work, return to work, co-working spaces. WeWork is this multi-billion-dollar, company talking about collaborative workspace models. libraries are the original co-working spaces, and we've got them in almost every community in our state. So I think there's a lot of exciting potential in the coming years to reimagine our libraries as just vibrant public gathering places and places for people to get work done in all kinds of new ways. So it's a really exciting future here. We've got a lot to look forward to despite the hardships of the last 2 years. So I'll turn it back to you, Lisa.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator Lesser. It's always a privilege and honor to hear you speak. I'm now going to invite the person I get to call and the privilege of calling my hometown state senator, Senator Joe Comerford.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It is so great to join you and all of my colleagues in the legislature. As Senator Lesser said so well, there is robust support for your efforts in the legislature, but especially I'll say in this Western delegation, where to a person, you have helped us see the value of breaking down barriers to access, of championing equity in a way that is just so tenacious and true and unequivocal that we are all the better for it. Some of you may have heard me say this, but every time I'm at one of these beautiful events, and I do hope that we are here soon together, you know, I come from librarians. My mom was a children's librarian. So when we talk of early access to literacy and civic engagement and self-empowerment to get knowledge and build oneself, you know, that was her whole life. And she lived it and breathed it. And my sister is now a middle school librarian, a public middle school librarian, where every day, you know, she churns through books and does book talks and really engages students to love literature in whatever form they're choosing it. Because that's one of the beautiful things about our libraries is that you all bring people to what they love best, to where they want to go as human beings, to what they want to do in the world. It is so beautiful. And then during the pandemic, the work you did, which never stopped and got actually so much harder to make sure that the services you bring to the community didn't stop, because the people needed them to continue. We needed a lifeline to the kind of world that libraries have offered us for so many years. So count me in, both as a member of the caucus, of course, but as someone who sees the value in what you do. I love it. And it is just a true privilege to join you in supporting it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senator Comerford. I love your library connection, and every time I hear about it, it brings me joy. I'm now going to welcome Senator Ann Goby to the floor.
Thank you very much. Nice to see everybody this morning. And I apologize, I'm a little late getting on. I was meeting with the college presidents in the Worcester area today. So I was getting most of this in the car before I could get back home to my computer. And I did, Steph, when you were talking about the problems at the library with fleas in the carpet and tiles, it sounded like my first apartment I thought you were describing. but glad that those issues are being taken care of. I just wanted to say, you know, after we met last year, I think one of the things that, you know, you talk about the advocacy that you do today, but I want to thank you for your continuing advocacy, because I know that after last year, one of the big pushes was to try to get DESE to do some work on a comprehensive census for all the school libraries. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure where that has ended up. Can someone kind of tell me, because I know that we were contacting them and trying to get them to do that. I'm just kind of curious, has that gone anywhere or not?
I'm happy to speak to that. I'm Debbie Frager, Director of Library Services for Boston Public Schools, but also the Outreach Director for the Mass School Library Association. And we did send a letter off, and we received a letter back from Commissioner Riley regarding the ask, and he said that there was no funding at the time. We have, in the meantime, learned that DESE does collect information about the number of school libraries because they're certified teachers and they need to be evaluated. And so that data is there. We just don't quite know yet how to access it. And so that's where it is right now. Thank you.
Well, I thank you for letting us know, because I'm not sure, and maybe my colleagues were better, you know, maybe they knew that answer, and I apologize that I hadn't done the follow-up. But I think that's the kind of thing that's important for us to know, because we can follow up with that. You know, we can follow up with the commissioner. I serve on Senate Ways and Means, and the commission is going to be before the Ways and Means in a couple of weeks. And so if we don't have an answer before that, you know, that's one of those things that we can ask in kind of a public setting. So I would just say to you, besides, I think you know that everyone that's on this call, for my legislative colleagues, I mean, we're fans of libraries. We wouldn't be here if we weren't, right? So it's kind of always sort of preaching to the choir. But if there are other ways that we can help you, obviously we're going to do what we can during the budget cycle. But on an issue like that, on other issues, on policy kind of issues that may come up, and if you feel that you're being stonewalled and not getting the answers, please let us know, because we want to be as helpful as we can, besides in budgetary ways as well. So I appreciate being here. Thank you for that information. And if maybe, I don't know if you want to, if you have a copy of maybe that letter that you received back, if that's something you could circulate to the legislative delegation, and then we can follow up with Commissioner Riley on that as well. Thank you.
We'll make sure that happens. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Goby, for bringing that up and paying such close attention. We really do appreciate it. I am now going to, I believe that we have an aide from Senator Vilas's office. I'll invite them to come to the floor.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Caitlin, and I'm a legislative aide in Senator Vilas's office. Senator Vilas asked for me to begin by apologizing that he wasn't able to personally join us all here today. He had a conflict with his new little one's 1-month appointment, so he's getting really big right now. Otherwise, the senator would be on Zoom with his little one right now. Supporting our libraries is an issue really close to Senator Vilas. He often shares the story about how when he was returning from Boston to Western Mass after law school, how he had a hard time finding a place where he was able to study for the bar exam. After some unsuccessful days with different places around Western Mass trying to find a quiet space to study, he went to the Westfield Athenaeum, explained how he had to study throughout the summer, and they were kind enough to provide him a quiet space throughout the entire summer where he knew that he could depend on to study, and helped him be successful to today. Most recently, he was able to help support some funding in the ARPA budget, and is always an open door if any of the local libraries need anything. And thank you for all of the work that you guys do.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. I appreciate you being here and representing the senator. Do we have anyone from Senator Gomez's office?
Yes, hi, I'm his district director, Lamari Jackson.
Great, thank you, welcome.
Wonderful. I want to first off and apologize for Senator Gomez not being able to be here today. He had a prior engagement with taking his girlfriend to an appointment, but I'm here on his behalf and wanting to thank the library advocacy. Libraries are a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of asset and value, and a value to the Commonwealth. And again, just on behalf of the senator, thank you for letting us have the opportunity to be here and be present with all of you.
Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that and your kind words. At this point, we're going to open it up to our representatives. We're going to just sort of open the floor by county. So we'll begin with Hampden County. Any Hampden County representatives that would like to speak, please go ahead. And I'm sure there'll be more than one of you.
I'll start. This is Representative Ash. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with my House and Senate colleagues, and Senator Goby. There are no fleas on you. I'm proud to be a part of the Library Caucus and attending these meetings since I've been in the House. And as mentioned, our libraries are so important from the start of our lives when we're learning to read, going to reading groups throughout school. And as was mentioned with Senator Vilas studying for his bar exam. But I think is evident throughout the pandemic, it's also there when people are really in need. And I think some people don't know that, but it's a place where people go when they don't have, where they're looking for a job, looking to read the newspaper to find a job, just looking for a connection in life at all. And I really think it's our job, not just as legislators, but all of us, to be advocates for the library and also to pass that on to the next generation. Like any successful thing, you have to make sure the next generation understands the benefit and what libraries do for us throughout our lives. So I'm proud to be here with all you, and I thank you for the work you do.
Can I jump in now?
Please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm Pat Duffy. I represent the great city of Holyoke, and I believe Maria Pagan, the Holyoke Library Director, she must be here. The last time we were all in person was 2 years ago, and it was at the Holyoke Public Library, and I'm really proud to say this, in a city that's got a lot of economic challenges, etc. The Holyoke Public Library is a palace. It is a beautiful building, and that's what every community deserves, because the work that you all do, the information you pass on to all of us, it's all about equity. Maria and the nimbleness of her staff over these past 2 years, the Holyoke Public Library, even when they couldn't let us inside, they were a constant presence here in the city of Holyoke. So thrilled to be here. I think we should all always start every day with librarians, and so happy to see my colleagues. Thank you. Thanks for letting me just jump in there.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Can I jump in? It's Angelo Pupolo from Springfield. Can everybody hear me? All right, cool. So it's good to be back. Certainly, it's not ideal. As Pat was saying, we do enjoy coming out in person. It's been 2 long years, and we hopefully next year we'll all be together again in person. I think the beauty of it is certainly the Western Mass delegation certainly has been a strong advocate and supporter for our libraries. But what this meeting does, it gives us the opportunity to visit some of the libraries, right? So, I mean, I've got the 12th Hampden district. Everybody's got libraries within their own little area, but it's nice to get out and see so many different libraries and see all the good work going on in a little different ways. But it's great to be here. Certainly it's an event that, I try to make every year and have in my time at the legislature. And it's important. I think, it speaks volumes for the amount of people, legislators, both, in the House and Senate, that are here this morning. And we take great pride in our libraries. All the librarians and everybody on this call does a fantastic job making sure that we have the information. You guys are our lieutenants and sergeants, if you will, on the field to let us know what we need to do and what's working, what's not working. And, going back in my days in the Springfield City Council, when we had problems, very dark days, with libraries potentially closing and some closing. And, we worked very hard with then Mayor Charlie Ryan and others to make sure that, we did not allow these libraries, these jewels in our city to close. And that's been part of my advocacy over the years. And, I know Gene Canessa Albano's on the call and so many other great people that I've worked with over the years. And, certainly it's a passion. And I think we all share that passion. We know the advantage. I remember when I was a young kid going to the bookmobile. I used to love that little bookmobile when we used to go to school and, used to have the opportunity to go there and check out books and really read different stories that, took you far, far away places. And, it's not only an education, it's, like Rep. Ash said, it's an opportunity to whether it's looking for a job, read the newspaper, like Senator Vilas, study for the bar. It's so much to offer for all of our communities. And, I'm very, passionate about it. My support, my continued dedication, and being a charter member in the House on the caucus, the Library Caucus has been very informative. And certainly it lends me another platform to advocate and share my, strong, advocacy and points for the libraries, not only in my district, but across the Commonwealth, which is critically important. So my door's always open. I'm always available. I appreciate it. I did take some notes of some of the line items and, what we need to do and continue to do. A lot of them, certainly we've got to get back to, some of the past levels. Hopefully we can continue on in a positive direction as we move forward. But just know that, we appreciate all your work as a delegation. And as a delegation, we certainly stand with you and are going to continue to do all that we can, because we know the importance of our library system. We know the importance of having access, and we know the importance of what it provides. And we've got a beautiful new library right here in East Forest Park. So many people stepped up to the table. The campaign between state and private was really a perfect a partnership in getting that done, which was critically important. So if you haven't had the opportunity, I know we had one of the meetings there, but if you have the opportunity to come and visit the new library, it's phenomenal, state-of-the-art facility, beautiful area. And again, it's really a crown jewel in our neighborhood, as all the libraries are. But I have to give a shout out to the new one out here, as we all work very hard on it. So again, thank you all, and know of our continued support.
Great, thank you so much. I believe that concludes Hampden County.
A couple more on here.
Oh, sure. Sorry, my apologies.
No worries. Hi, Lisa. Jake Oliveira, state rep from the 7th Hampden District, which includes Ludlow, part of Belchertown, part of Springfield, and part of Chicopee. But just happy to be here and echo the comments of some of my fellow legislators from Western Massachusetts and our steadfast support for the libraries, both our school libraries and our public libraries in each one of our towns. I grew up going to libraries and spending a lot of time. My dad was such an avid reader, and I spent so much time at the Hubbard Memorial Library, but also the main branch of the Springfield Public Library, and also several colleges and universities libraries throughout the Pioneer Valley here. But I just wanted to say, if you look at the physical infrastructure of our libraries right now, they really are palaces for free thought and learning. And so I'm so happy that you mentioned the bond cap this morning and paying attention to that, so we continue to invest in the physical infrastructure of our libraries. And obviously, each one of the line items to invest in to support our libraries will be on our priority list. But I'd also like to say, shifting away from kind of the budgetary discussion, I think there's a pretty concerning effort that's kind of, captivating our nation right now, that's looking at, kind of limiting kind of the free thought in some books in our libraries right now. And it's important that we push back against that. Right here in Ludlow, we had our school librarians that were basically under attack. And we need good library trustees that are elected. We need good school committee members that are elected, so we can have that open thought, and our libraries can continue to be places where learning is opened and people's eyes are open to opportunities and cultures and different thought. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for having us this morning, and count me as a supporter for your budget priorities this cycle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Rep. Smola from the 1st Hampden District. I really appreciate the wonderful attendance here today. We have such an excellent group of advocates from the legislative delegation here in Western Massachusetts that's really second to none. So I think there is such value in the team that we have here. I want to send a shout out to Jan. Jan, thank you so much for your years of participation. It's been excellent to work with you. Not only the fact that you are an advocate for libraries, but you are from Western Massachusetts. Senator Goby had made reference to the Ways and Means Committee, which we are now going through the process of our public hearings. And please make note of March 1st, which is where the Board of Library Commissioners will be submitting testimony. Unfortunately, we use the virtual system now. It's not like when we were able to get together, but I would say that as much as we hear great advocates from our library community, and you are second to none in terms of advocacy, what I would encourage you to do is, when you're communicating with your local town administrators, your boards of selectmen, your city councilors, when they reach out to us for budget asks, make sure that they are throwing library line items into those asks. Traditionally, we hear from them on the big ticket items, Chapter 70, Chapter 90. They're certainly advocating for ARPA money, which is going to be coming around the bend at some point in kind of an ARPA 2 version of a bill. But when they're coming to us and they're advocating for resources coming from the state government, please make sure that they are mentioning libraries. Extremely important. And we want to recognize that the role that libraries play is not in and of itself, that it is part of the community overall, and that it serves so many different people on so many levels. And so sometimes when local officials are coming at us for priorities, this is one of those items that they lose sight of. So when you're communicating with them, encourage them when they're putting those letters together, when they're talking about it at their public forums, to give a shout out for libraries, make sure that they're communicating with members of the legislative delegation to say, and don't forget funding for the libraries. It's extremely important. They should be advocating for the libraries as a community entity, not just as library institutions in and of themselves, you doing the advocacy. So thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to working with you for the rest of the year.
Hi, this is Ethan from the Office of Representative Pease. I just wanted to jump in and say, thank you for having us. Representative Pease unfortunately couldn't be here. He was in a meeting in the eastern part of the state, but of course he wanted to offer his support for the budget items, and our doors open for any other legislative priorities throughout the year. So really, thank you for putting this on, and happy to be here.
Yep. Lisa, this is Rep Finn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm trying out these new earbuds, so I didn't know if they were working appropriately. So I guess I'd like to take a different path if I can, about one of the reasons why I support, and I'm about to give a big shout out to Tony Galinsky, wherever you are. I know you're there. I saw you earlier. But one of the things that, beyond the educational opportunities that I know are offered to everyone within the community, and beyond the employment opportunities that I know people avail themselves of when they're seeking jobs, as Rep. Brian Ash talked about. But one of the things that I find to be the most compelling argument when it comes to why I personally support libraries happens to be the compassion of the employees that I know are employed in these library settings. And I say that because there have been times where I've stepped into the West Springfield Public Library on extremely cold days, and some of the most vulnerable in my community, homeless individuals, are coming into those libraries and they're seeking shelter. Or on a rainy day, they're coming there and they're not turned away. It may be uncomfortable for other patrons to see, but the reality of each and every community can be understood simply by walking into a library. And I think that that's important. And everybody knows about my relationship with former Senator Jim Welch, and his wife is a librarian. And I didn't have, as a representative, really any other option but to be supportive of libraries. And Jim would have never spoken to me again. But joking aside, and how important these issues are, I just want you all to know that it's not lost on me that it goes beyond the educational and the employment, and that the folks that are in these libraries are really the fabric that hold us all together in a community. And I'm proud to say that I'm a supporter. Thank you.
Excellent. Does that conclude our Hampden County representatives? Thank you, each and every one of you. Your comments were very touching.
Good morning. I'm sorry. There's one last one.
Oh, sure. Sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Please go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm here representing Representative Orlando Ramos, who represents the 9th Hampden District here in Springfield, Massachusetts. And certainly thank you for the invite. I know that Representative Ramos is very much concerned about our libraries, and certainly passionate about the work that our Springfield libraries in particular work. We are so humbled by the work that Jean Caniso does on a daily basis to really sort of connect schools with libraries in our communities. And in addition to that, to really sort of have programming. And so it's so critically important that we really sort of make those connections, especially in communities of color that really need sort of those extra supports, if you will. And so I think as we sort of think about how budgets are made and how monies are filtered through, we certainly need to make sure that we have that extra monies to really support communities, and to make sure that libraries are open as well, in terms of having accessibility, and then be able to have the staffing that you need in order to do the programs that you want to do. And so I know that Representative Ramos certainly is in support of the work that the libraries here in particular in Springfield do, but certainly nationally. As I am a former school teacher, I know how important libraries are for young people. And so we are certainly excited about the work that you do. continue to do. And on behalf of Representative Ramos's office, we want to say thank you. And again, shout out to our Springfield libraries and also the staff and those people that really work to make sure those extra books that we can't find are there. And so thank you so very much.
Excellent, great points. Thank you so much. I am now going to open it up to Hampshire County representatives.
Thank you, Lisa. This is Lindsay Sabadosa. It's such a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Huge shout out to my hometown library, Forbes, for hosting today. Thank you for being here, Lisa. And I also see just numerous members of our boards of trustees. So thank you for that. It's so hard to go after so many colleagues because I feel like everybody has said everything at this point, but I have to bring in a story. So as many of you know, we are going through redistricting and our districts are changing. And so for me, the very most important thing I could do to get to know new communities was to visit the libraries. So I did that recently. I went to 6 new towns and 6 libraries and got to talk to people. And the librarians are great at sort of sitting you down and saying, all right, this is what our town is like. This is what you need to know. And that was fabulous. But the story I need to share with you was a story from Chesterfield, where the librarian, Cynthia, who is just this powerhouse of energy, you must meet her, introduced me to a local resident by the name of Nan, who I don't remember how old she is, but it's well over 90. And Nan and I were sitting chatting, and she looked at me and she said, "Do you know what white privilege is?" And I thought, oh goodness, what is she going to want to know about? And she said, well, I didn't until Cynthia handed me a book. And I have read the book Cynthia gave me, and then I read another 10 books. And can you imagine, I lived on this earth for 90 years, and I knew when war started, and I knew who presidents were, but I didn't know a damn thing about white privilege. And I didn't know about Black history. And now I do. And it's all thanks to this librarian. And Nan, who is a force of nature, then said, and not only do I know, but I'm making sure all my friends read these books too. So I want you all to know that because of librarians, there is a group of little old ladies up in Chesterfield who could give all these people who are against critical race theory a run for their money. And that's because of your work. So you can count me as one of your hugest supporters. Let me know anything you need. And thank you so much for having me here today.
Beautiful story. Others from Hampshire County? And I apologize, we're running short, but this has been so great to have. We have a big area, and it's been, the turnout has been beautiful, and the comments are just so touching. So thank you all. And anyone else from Hampshire County? Moving.
Waiting for you to go first, but I'll jump in if you're not going.
Go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Lisa, so much for the invitation. And I want to start so I don't forget thanking Jan. Thank you so much for all your hard work, your years of service. In my short time, 3 years in the legislature, I've learned so much just from our emails, our communications, and you've really helped me do my job better. So I really want to thank you for that. And I'm sure that's true of my Western Mass colleagues too. So John Vilas isn't even here, and he already stole my story about how I studied for the bar exam in a library. So I don't know what I'm going to say anymore. I promised myself I'm not going to tell the story I told last year about middle school me supposed to be studying in the library after school and getting kicked out for being a little too noisy. I'm not telling that story again. So I'm going to share a couple stories quickly, not about me, but conversations I've had just in the last couple days with friends who didn't know I was meeting with you, who weren't prepping me for this meeting, who just in casual conversations were telling me how great libraries are. And the first is a friend who's got 4 young children, all under the age of 9, 4 little kids. And she was kind of lamenting about having to take one somewhere that child loved going to, but the other kids were going to be dragging their feet and making a scene, but they had to do it. And I said, is there anywhere all 4 of them love to go? And immediately she said the library. And that wasn't the answer I was expecting. I thought that she was going to say Build-A-Bear or something like that. She said the library. All 4 of them get so excited. They'll put their coats on and their shoes on so fast if I say we're going to the library. And the other story is an older gentleman, friend of mine, young kids. And we were talking about movies. And he's a movie buff. I'm not. I was learning a lot in the conversation. He's naming all these movies I've never even heard of. I said, hey man, where are you seeing these movies? And he said, well, do you know about CW Mars? Because I get these DVDs from all over the state, stuff that's not on Netflix, it's not on Hulu's, but they come right to me and I get to watch every movie I can think of. And those stories just showed me what we all already know, how valuable these libraries are for young, for old, for reading, for movies, for all the areas we've already heard about from all my colleagues and all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're doing. And we'll keep on supporting you because what you're doing is so important.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to jump in because I want to make sure our Franklin County colleagues also get a chance to say hi. I just want to point out that you can tell what kind of great uncle Dan Carey is, that he actually could say Build-A-Bear without, even tripping over those words. That was quite impressive, Rep. Carey. I want to give a very special shout out to Amherst, Pelham, and Granby libraries. And I want to thank you for not only providing access to information and books, but to us for constituent office hours when we were doing them in person. I would be remiss if I also didn't call out and really express my deep gratitude to the Amherst folks who are on the line, because they are really on the front lines of defending libraries these days, and new construction as well as resources. So I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to join you along with Senator Comerford to defend our libraries and to make sure we get a new one and a sustainable one in Amherst. In the past couple of years, I just want to say I've been so impressed with the innovative services and programs that the libraries have done when in-person became impossible. I particularly love the phone good night stories that the Amherst Library did so that parents and kids could hear stories on the phone together. So we weren't necessarily in groups, but they still were able to do it in their homes. And I also want to shout out the partnership that you play in our democracy right now. As my colleagues have mentioned, not only in providing access to books that some would like to see banned, but particularly around being sources of accurate information and being able to teach our communities how to, in fact, ensure that they are relying on accurate sources and reliable sources. So thank you so much. Count me as a big advocate, big supporter. We've got to make sure that you have all the resources you need to continue your good work. Thank you.
Great. Are we ready to move to Franklin County? Anyone from
I'm here from Franklin County. It's State Representative Natalie Blay. It's great to see you all this morning. Thank you for doing this again. Thank you, Lisa, and a special thanks to Jan. I'm going to be really quick because I know we're out of time here. I just want to thank you for providing so much more to our communities than just books. Whether it's concerts or videos or yoga or kayaks, libraries really provide special spaces. My oldest son is 15, and he's now allowed to go into the young adult room at the Sunderland Public Library, which is a pretty special protected space for young adults. And he thinks that he is on top of the world right now. But it also provides space for older adults to gather for senior coffee hours. And as Rep. Sabadosa noted, it provides us as representatives with special space to connect with constituents. I just want to agree that Nan Clark is a force at the age of 92 years old, and she's an incredible human being. I want to recognize the broadband services that you provide, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. And as a Commonwealth, as we work to break down the digital divide across our entire Commonwealth, libraries have provided that space, and librarians have provided the training for people to understand digital literacy and what's true and what's fake and how to access and harness this technology. So I just want to recognize the very special role that librarians play as we try to break down that digital divide here in the Commonwealth. I want to thank you for enriching our lives in so many ways. You have my support 100%. And if I could give a special thanks to the Sunderland Public Library for continuing to allow me to take out books with a library card that has been through the washing machine and the dryer and is barely functioning. So thank you all. Thanks especially to the First Franklin District libraries and librarians who are here today. I love you all so very much for all you do.
Great, thank you so much. This is just been a beautiful, beautiful morning. Are there any representatives or their aides who haven't had a chance to speak who would like to? Great. Well, I think we have heard so many important things this morning, so many inspiring things, and I want to thank you again for being here and for your support. We are just so fortunate here. And if there's a couple of takeaways I'll leave you with, it's keep doing the good work and be out there, for those of us not on the other side of the table, to make sure to be out there with clear asks, not only today, but throughout the year, and be in touch with. We have a very accessible group of senators and representatives who are very supportive. So hearing from you and hearing about specific needs is a great way to carry this energy on. Thank you to everyone who is here, and please maybe we can be together in person, sharing delicious whatever it is we'll eat next year. So take good care, be well, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all so much.